Hello, good evening, everyone. It's really my great pleasure to be here, and I'm going to speak on a talk which is very much close to my heart because I read and write about water for quite a long time now. So I thought to do this research, and not in just in terms of descriptive, but in terms of trying to do something new, which is I thought that would be adding a value to my own research. As our previous my colleagues have already discussed about this area, but I would not rather focus more on that, but I'll try to add my own own perspective to it, and I'll just see how it fits into the academia of our discussion today. Yeah. So just to start this presentation, I just would like to highlight that what kind of a research I have done into this topic. So as we know that we have been talking about Tibet, why Tibet is important, its historical importance, and why the critical, resources that are available in Tibet, why they are important. So I will also try to highlight that, Tibet's important, the resources which are there. Like for example, I have just tried my best to highlight the water resource here. So I will just try to see how the Tibet's, the livelihood, the people who are staying there, whether it has impacted them or how, over a period of time, like I've taken up a 30-year here, where I've studied like in 30 years how much the changes have occurred in Tibet specifically. So I've observed the climate trends which has happened in Tibet, and specifically, its impact on the water security, because as we know that climate and the water are interrelated. If climate changes are happening, it will definitely add and impact the water resources which are available there. So I've tried my level best to highlight that what are the challenges which will come to the downstream countries which are there. Like for example, India and Bangladesh are the main, because as we know that we are having a largest river of Brahmaputra, which comes from Tibet only, and which is the Yarlung Sangpo. And most of the time we experts try to highlight that how it is the weaponization of water is happening, but I've just tried to highlight in terms of what researchers have been talking about in the past 30 years. Next, please. So my main motivation of writing this paper comes from these four papers, which specifically recently got published. And specifically the second one, if you will search on the internet, you'll find my paper. It was published by the Journal of Indo-Pacific Affairs. And the third one, this one recently got published at the Springer Journal, where I've tried to highlight that how the border tensions between India and China are very much connected with the water tension. So I've tried my level best, taking a qualitative approach and taking up the interviews both from India and China, and having a content analysis approach in this paper, and tried my level best that try to explain that how these things are interconnected and what are the future challenges that can be explained and explored in this. So before my research, I have done a structured literature review in this research specifically, and this paper is still in progress because I was traveling, so I did not get time. So in this currently, as in like the progress of the paper, I've just tried to highlight the 50, collected the 50 peer-reviewed papers, which are very much important and focusing on the same area of research. And before doing this research, our main emphasis was to highlight that I wanted to highlight these three research questions which I have tried to balance and analyze in my paper. For example, that how the climate change has affected the water security in Tibet in the last 30 years. And for example, my 30 years, I have taken up a specific years like from the 1994 to 2024 current year. And what are the key challenges and the opportunities which are related to specifically the transboundary water rivers, because my main focus was to highlight the water security challenges. And the third one was related to the water solutions. What are the water implementation or the solutions can we bring up, like for the both for the India or the lower riparian countries, because it's been impacting them a lot. Next, please. So this is a research methodology. So as I've just mentioned that in the structural literature review, I've structurally gathered only the peer-reviewed papers, specifically from the sites like, for example, Elsewhere, Google Scholar, those who have published in a very prestigious one. And they have tried to highlight the same kind of impact, but from the 1994 onwards to 2024. Although the archives, I was not able to find much of the papers which are more beyond 2000, but I am just trying my best, because still now I have just able to complete only 50 papers. And my target is that at least I'm able to do 100 papers, because then only the formulation of results with the thematic analysis which I've tried to do in this after collecting up the data. As you can see, this kind of a matrix table I have prepared, like as of now, where I've tried to highlight that, the authors, year, the journal name, what was the purpose of the research in which they have published their paper, what was the result, what was the outcome, and what kind of an implication their paper is trying to give, and what are the limitation or the flaws. So, preparing this kind of a matrix table, it really needs a lot of time, though I've tried my best to complete only 50 of them as of now. But, if our, editor of our TPI gives us some kind of relaxation, I'll just try my best to do it on time. But because most of the things would come the more and more data we have. So I've just tried my best, because it is just a qualitative in terms of research. So I tried my best. Next, please. So this we have already explained. I think since morning we have been talking about why the Tibet is important, and it's just in terms of introduction, because all the major rivers are coming from there, 10 of them, as we already know, and why the biodiversity, the mineral resources, that is why the Tibet is known for. And most of the scientists have also already given a lot of names, like the water tower, the barometer of Asia, rooftop of the Asia. So these examples clearly fit in this area, because I've tried my level best to highlight all of these. Next, please. So in a very nutshell, I'm going to talk about that these are the few observed climate trends in Tibet in the past 30 years, as I've tried my level best to highlight through the pictures also. As you can see, the first one is rising temperature. We are already talking about CO2 in the atmosphere, but when the permafrost thaws are there, and it's been it's gas. The moment it gets ignited and the gas comes from it, it is more hazardous than the CO2, that is methane. And the moment it goes up, the temperature rises. And already we are talking about, and most of my colleagues have talked about why it is rising. Rising level is happening, why it is leading to the global warming aspect. So a lot of these things are happening, and we have already discussed the precipitation because of the lot of changement in the diversity, lot of man-made interventions which are happening. The precipitation, sometimes it is coming more than expected, or sometimes we have a drought-like situation. Then we have already shrinking glaciers. The moment every year approximately 50 million cubes of ice is melting in Tibet. So I mean, this is not happening like doesn't happen in a day. So shrinking of glaciers is one of the main impact which has been observed by the scientists also. And yes, now this area, transboundary river concern, as I've tried my best that why I want to highlight the climate change into the water. So I've tried my best that because as you know that not only South Asia, Southeast Asia also have the resource of water from there. And when I talk about China, both the South Asia and Southeast Asia, China have tried to follow some different trends and policies. So this is again which I want to highlight in my next research, where I would be talking about that why China's policies are more liberal than in Southeast Asia rather than the South Asia. So this is again a topic of debate, because most of the time we have seen that China have tried to have some kind of a cooperation in Mekong River Commission, but in terms of South Asian countries where all the lower riparian countries are there, I don't think that China hasn't been a part of any of the signatories or the international water law conventions. So all of these things are very important in that aspect. Next, please. Uh, this we have already discussed. Next, please. So I'll talk about like how the it is impacting the the downstream countries which are there. As we already know, because specifically in terms of India, because we have seen that we talk about Brahmaputra, Yarlang, Sangpo. The moment it comes down to India, firstly it enters to Arunachal Pradesh, where it is called Dihang, and then from Dihang to it converts into Brahmaputra, and from Brahmaputra it submerges to Bay of Bengal. So we have seen like in the states of northeastern also drought-like situation or maybe the flood-like situation. Recently we have experienced that in the central border also, like in Uttarakhand and the Himachal. Few years back we have a flood-like situation. So all of these things are impacting to the agriculture, the livelihood, and to the people who are residing there. So these things are important. Secondly, as I mentioned about the water shortage, in the Mekong River also, it is impacting the same way, because according to a Stimson Center's report, I've read that China has tried to construct approximately 800 dams on the Mekong region, on the upper and the lower region of Mekong. So it actually is a need of concern, although these dams would be on the run of the river, might not be on the terms of catching up or storing up the water, but again it is a cause of concern, because specifically the Thailand I would want to mention, because it has large number of dams in terms of all the Southeast Asian countries which are located. Next, please. And everything is related to everything which is happening in China. It is again very much related to Tibet. So in China also, if you are aware that most of the rivers like the Rielo or Yangtze River, all are polluted. They are not able to drink. They are not able to sustain them very much fully. So accordingly, like we have in India a 5-year plan, in China also we have 5 years plan. So in the 12th 5-year plan, they have decided that they will try to have the quality water, because quantity was never a problem for China, but the quality was a kind of a problem. So in the 12th 5-year plan till right now, the 14th 5-year plan, they have tried their level best that how the best water security plan they can have for their own people. As my colleague have already highlighted about the water transfer project, the first phase is already completed, and a lot of the second phase is already on the verge. So similarly, the mining and the water pollution is again because Tibet is full of resources, a lot of mining activities which are happening. Again, it pollutes the water, and due to pollution of water, we are seeing the black-like colored water is coming from to the downstream countries. So again, it is a cause of concern, because most of the Tibetans and the downstream countries, people are protesting, and it is their grievance, because a lot of illegal activities and the kind of harassment to the people which is happening on the upper riparian of Tibet, it's been a very cause of concern. Next, please. Next. So as you can see, this picture was taken in 2016. it has given a large number of, a loss to the fisheries, aquatic life, and you can see the people are protesting, and a lot of, since till now also, if Chinese have tried to construct the dams, people have come on the roads and tried to raise their voice. So it has always been there. I don't think that there is a kind of a solution to it, because there is never ever a thing which they can try to highlight their protests or grievances. Next, please. These are some of the the protest type, what all events it happened. I've just tried to take it like from the internet itself. Next, please. Again, this is a very important large number of, as the urbanization is taking place, a lot of industrialization is there. So due to that, waste management system is very much missing. So due to that, you can see people try to throw the garbage like on the river, and again, leading up to the hazardous amount of chemical is there, and people are not able to drink from the fresh water itself, which we are looking up for. And people try to dump it like on the surface of the soil also, which again degrade the soil also, leading to the soil erosion. Next, please. Next. So this is very important, because I wanted to highlight this. This is Southeast Asian countries. From top to bottom, you can see large number of dams have been constructed, and in this is the Yarlang Sangpo Brahmaputra, which is coming from the Great Bend, and it is submerging. My point of highlighting this picture was just to give a sense of a thought to everyone that China's approach is different, which I just highlighted in the beginning. Here, things are, if the border relations are not solved or not been properly managed, things are, we haven't been talking about the water tensions. We have already expired our the water MOUs, which we sign regularly. We renew them, and since 2023, both on the Brahmaputra and on the Satluj River, with the water data which we take from China, we haven't talked about it, because the border tensions which is still there at the western border, we are not able to solve that out. But similarly, if you talk about the Mekong River Commission, they have been very active, very vocal, and all the Southeast Asian countries are coming together, how they are formulating. Although China is again not a signatory to it, but they have tried their level best that how they can bring China on the table. Again, as you are aware, just to highlight one point here, that between India and China, they only share 13 transboundary rivers, but China and other countries which are there, they share 17. So you can well imagine that a kind of a burden which is there on the countries which are on the upper riparian. And India's position is just not on the lower riparian, but on the middle riparian, because lower than us, we have a Bangladesh also, which we need to regularly try to have some kind of a mechanism with them. We have already going to expire our India-Ganga water treaty next year. So that is how things needs to be there, and I feel that a transboundary cooperation is the need of the hour, where things can be can be talked about, but I'm not sure whether China is ready to do that thing as of now. As of now, till the time the bilateral relations are not normal at the border. Next, please. So these are the few of the things which I think that been very important, that we need a sustainable water management, because the growing population, we have already exceeded China in terms of population. So it becomes very important, because if you'll not maintain the water management itself, in India we have been doing our level best, that we have just about to complete our Jal Jeevan mission and other initiatives. But we need such kind of an initiative on both the sides, because for our own problems, we can have a problem, but for others' problem, where we can get a problem, that is a cause of concern. So again, in the early warning system is again a very good initiative, which helped Nepal also recently, and the Sikkim also, which can add a value to our water cooperation between the countries. And international cooperation, again, if we try not to form an organization, I don't think that we can talk on the table. lastly, next please. My last way forward is that, we really need a effective water transboundary framework, which talks about we need to bring both the parties together, how they can come together, and specifically, as I'm talking about Tibet, so Tibetans' role becomes a very major role here. We need to take all the Tibetan experts who talk about water, specifically on the Tibetan, climate change. So then only I think that the things would be clear. Thank you. I'll end my presentation here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neeraj, for highlighting the water security challenges, especially the challenges of downstream region, the transboundary river concerns with India, and also highlighting the list of protests which happened in Tibet with the concern of pollution of water. Without further ado, I'll open the floor for